And welcome back to another fantastic episode of Mind the Force, a nerdy podcast about Star Wars and mental health. I'm your illustrious host, Kristine Smith, and I'm joined by my equally, if not more so, illustrious co-host, Mr. James Abbate.
Misa James.
Which is a lovely intro to our lovely topic of today. A certain snazzy Gungan of very entertaining proportions. The rather infamous and somewhat divisive, but I don't think so. But you'll all have your opinions. Mr. Jar Binks, the one and the only.
Finally, he's the key to all this, and this is the key to all of our podcast episodes. Everyone's been waiting for Jar Jar.
Right? I mean, you can't talk about Star Wars and mental health and like character assessment and really not think about Jar Jar. Not only, and it's interesting, he's one of the only characters. I mean, maybe there are like ones in the sequels now that like kind of also have the same specific situation of it's not like the conversation isn't just about the character within the Star Wars universe, but also very much in our reality with fan interactions with this character in the franchise and subsequently the actor that played that character. Of course, we're talking about Mr. Ahmed Best, who portrayed Jar Jar Binks in the prequel movies, episodes 1, 2, and 3.
And the sixth special edition at the very end.
Yes. And of course, not the only time we see Mr. Ahmed Best, for you Grogu fans out there, and we'll touch on that. We're gonna delve into, like, the mental health struggles that Ahmed Best, it's very public knowledge that he dealt with from backlash of the character of Jar Jar and his performance in the prequel movies. You know, I think it's a very important conversation to have about why people were mad, like why people felt disappointed in the films and why they felt that was an appropriate outlet for that anger. While it was not appropriate, we'll touch on the cultural nuances that I think Jar Jar brings up for a lot of people. While also talking about, I mean, he's a very central character. He moves the plot forward. Like, there really isn't the same Star Wars story or the same Skywalker saga without Jar Jar.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of it. I think the backlash was tonally, racially, just a lot of screen time, especially in episode 1. The actor should never get the guff. I get it if you want to rail on the director or the writer, and send them hate mail, but the actors are just, doing their job. I think him and Jake Lloyd, who played young Anakin, and even now Ray Park, I guess Darth Maul, but a lot of the episode 1 actors have suffered a lot of mental health issues, and the question is how much of it was the role that did that to them. Bullying, for instance, how much led to bullying and undue fame or unwanted bad fame, notoriety, I guess.
Right.
They thought they were starring in Star Wars. It would be the same thing like the original. They didn't expect the hate, and I think that that counter reality, that counter expectation hit Ahmed Best hardest, especially all that ire was focused on him, and unfairly. But I like that he's getting his redemption arc in real life and in Star Wars.
Right?
The actual work.
It makes me so happy now. But I think before we get into Ahmed Best, we'll do our deep dive on Jar Jar, and then of course walk it back and examine everything like we do. We're going to do what we do. That's
and before we even do any of that big business, let's do the little business.
Ooh, look at you getting the spiel. To stay up to date on everything Mind the Force, please check us out in all the places. You got mindtheforce.com. You got Facebook. You got Instagram. You have Blue Sky. And you have Substack, where you're going to find cool bonus material, extra thoughts that don't make it into the podcast, courtesy of my brain and James's brain. Doesn't that sound fun? For all the latest episodes, you are going to follow, share, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube to see our shining faces. Hit the link tree. You're going to find all the clickables to do all the things. Please shoot us 5 stars. Email us your big Star Wars thoughts, questions, feels, and smoke at mindtheforcepodcast@gmail.com. Listen to this pod and then go and do all of that. Scoot, go do it.
Well, following up on that, Ouchie Wawa, Misa welcome you to the Mind the Force podcast. We're going to be looking back at all them Star Wars peoples from everywhere. Okie day. Misa talking about the big screen movies, the boxy screen TV shows, the paper books with all the words, them funny picture comics, and even them clicky clack video games. But Misa warning yous, if you no wanting the big secrets and spoilers for any Star Wars things out right now, you better turn around and run. Misa don't want you being sad. We ready to start the show.
ChatGPT really held you down with that, didn't it?
Cut out the part. Sorry, guys.
Don't cut out any of that.
No, wait, cut out the.
That's the social clip. That's what's going on Instagram.
I'm not that brilliant. I can't write.
At first, I thought you were riffing it, and then I'm like, nah, he wrote this in AI.
Sorry. Had to. Okay, anyway.
Oh my god, I didn't even think to do that.
Misa did. Okay.
Wow.
We got to do all the episodes like that. We'll go viral.
No, we don't. We're gonna go viral for all the wrong reasons.
That's right. We'll get shit canned too. Okay. Back in
God.
3, 2, 1.
You think we're cutting any of that? You're out of your fucking mind, James. Don't cut any of that, man. On to the episode. Now my face hurts. So of course, Jar Binks, one of the most unfortunately infamous characters in Star Wars. For multiple reasons. Of course, there are those who subscribe to the belief that he threw the galaxy under the bus.
Yeah.
He unfortunately was a very gullible guy. And so Sidious saw that and was able to take advantage while Senator Padme Amidala was otherwise preoccupied with, her evil baby daddy.
The shrewd mind is gone. Yeah, let's get the weak-minded one and,
Yeah, who has been left as the interim senator of Naboo while she is away, which maybe wasn't the best call on Padme's part. And Sidious was able to swoop on in and say, hey, it would be best for the galaxy if you put this decree forth for a vote in the Senate for the Chancellor to have emergency war powers.
That'll never give back, right? He's like, you know what? He's like, if only someone were courageous and strong-minded enough. And Jar Jar's like, gulp, like, is that Misa? And he does not realizing he's being played by this kind FDR-like guy who's really like just Satan, really. He's a demon.
Yeah, right, basically.
Basically,
he's the devil.
How's Jar Jar going to stand up against that?
Yeah, no, and of course there's those that just don't find him to be like a helpful plot device. I'm of the belief that Jar Jar moves the plot forward. Like
by
without,
accident.
without like his accidental clumsiness. Like, think about it. Like,
he's so clumsy.
Like, they wouldn't have met the Gungans, and that wouldn't have led to, like, the Jedi wouldn't have met the Gungans, that wouldn't have led to them, like, meeting Padme and, like, the treaty that ended up being established between the Gungans and the Nabooians.
Right, he crashed in a boss's Hebleber, so got banished. That's why he's above ground, meets Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. If he didn't try to eat that little frog thing that was hanging up in the bazaar, they wouldn't have met Anakin. And because Sebulba came over, he's like, he's an especially dangerous Doug. Wouldn't have met the Chosen One. So because he was hungry, his appetite, and that's the way the Force sort of works, I guess.
Yeah.
We keep say God works through stupid or unassuming,
Mysterious.
or like, Samson's like prostitute frequenter, stuff like that sort of thing. Like the most unexpected character can do God's work, sort of thing, can do the Force's work. And I like that Jar Jar was chosen, just as Shmi was chosen as an unassuming like surrogate mother for the chosen one. Jar Jar was a facilitator of the Jedi meeting Anakin and establishing all galactic events, right? Just because he was hungry, really.
Just 'cause he
He
was
was just
hungry.
clumsy and hungry.
Yeah, no, every story point needs to be moved forward. And Jar Jar did that. He served a canonical purpose. I mean, whether or not you thought the comic relief was funny, I mean, it's a space opera. He was the jester, he was the comic relief. Um Whether you thought it was funny is up to you personally. Um Obviously what's nice like about Star Wars and retconning and like the expansion of the Star Wars universe is obviously you got more of him in Clone Wars the animated series, where still like kind of like a silly kind of side character, but I loved like the moments of like seriousness. He had that great episode, I think in like season 4 or 5, where he like went on an adventure with Mace Windu, and
Mm-hmm.
I forget what planet I
Recently.
forget what planet they went to, but like the people there like didn't like fuck with Mace Windu at all, but they thought Jar Jar was like the be all end all, which was amazing. And I'm pretty sure he was fucking the queen, which was great.
Yeah, that's the part. He's like, ah! he was, he's just
um,
he was happy, yeah, because he's not thinking too deeply. He just kind of yeah, his
right,
motivations are just sensory stimuli, and he just responds to that. It's polished in the Senate, but at the end of the day, he doesn't think too much, and I kind of like that. He's just on one kind of like mental level, really.
right,
He's not going that deep.
right. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned there for like for going with the flow, with following one's instinct, with not taking life too seriously. Like, and maybe I don't want to say putting your faith in something, but I don't know, a positivity. Like her, no, Jar Jar can
Yeah,
be negative
a
sometimes.
simplistic beauty. It's a child's
Yeah,
innocence you see in him. Clearly, George wanted to, how they basically C-3PO was the comedic relief in the first released film. In episode one, he wanted to go even younger, bring in the kids, sell action figures, have, with all this dark stuff going on with the Sith and whatnot, and Anakin being a kid, he wanted to bring in kids. So he figured Jar Jar was the key to all this. You watch the making of episode one; it's very funny. A lot went wrong, but in my mind, it just went beautifully right. The Force shaped it all together. But he
right.
definitely saw a lot of negative fan reaction. If we want to discuss why he was, rejected and all that
No,
at
of
the time.
course. No, of course. I think that I mean just as a whole, I think nowadays, like just like with things like cancel culture and just kind of the way I think we view a lot of a lot of like the media and that we absorb, I think that it's become more and more common really to do two things or a couple of things. One, and this is just like a personal feeling that a good friend of mine shared with me and I kind of agreed. Um that things are either absolutely terrible or they're the best thing you've ever seen. And there's no in between. And things aren't allowed to be okay. Like just like it was okay.
Oh, like
It
Jar
was
Jar being just in the
fine.
middle.
Yeah. Like he wasn't like, "Oh my god, this is the best like character I've ever seen in Star Wars. This is great." Or like he's just he moves the plot forward at the end of the
He
day.
moves the
Like
needle, yeah.
yeah, I
I
think
mean, it's
that
it's the undue screen time. I think
he
the
did
the,
get a lot of
compa-
screen time.
the thing is, it's just a little too much tonally. If you're trying to keep a serious story, and he's going, "Ah!" Just like
Right?
CGI was sort of still kind of new at the time, so people were like, "What's going on here?" The way it's filmed, you see him with the camera, Ahmed Best with the camera on his
Floppy
hat.
ears.
I thought it was pioneering, but I do see that he did occupy too much screen time because the less he got in episode two and even episode three, all he says is "squeeze me." That's the only line he gets, and he's a little sad at Padme's wedding. That's an admission of defeat. That's Lucas saying, fan reaction was so terrible. I'm sorry. I will just mute him. I'll shut him
Yeah.
up. In a way, and Ahmed Best had to suffer that as the actor. Like, I'm not the fan favorite I was marketed to be. So aesthetically and racially too. I know I've spoken to people and their reactions was he's a step and fetch character. He's a Caribbean sort of like caricature, like a Miss Cleo type or a ganja smoking kind of like Bob Marley
Yeah.
Jamaican to a degree. Like like an island person, and that reaction, people were grossly offended. At the
Yeah.
time, I was too young to really think racially, honestly, and I grew up in Freeport too. So, but now,
Yeah,
understanding
no,
those,
now as an adult, like you can see it like,
I see it. It's the way
like you can
Lucas portrayed like the Asians and Jewish people, and you can see it in their characters. They're overly
yeah,
exaggerated.
no, there's like you said, there's definitely not a shortage of Star Wars characters like aliens that do portray like some pretty
Right.
like on the nose racial stereotypes, whether like Jewish, Asian,
Watto, Trade
um
Federation, yeah, no, Jar Jar, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, and yeah, no, Jar Jar is just kind of this
Wacky, he's wacky.
slapstick. Yeah, and I mean, what could you have changed? Could you have changed? Like, you could have changed the
Well,
accent. You could have
what would
changed.
if they had a white actor portraying him? I think it would have been more offensive in my mind because then it would have been like imitating. It would be more imitations removed. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, okay, they because George Lucas is liberal. They're all in Hollywood. He's trying to like portray diversity. I don't think he had the presence of mind when he really filmed it, and the delivery and the execution were not, didn't match, I guess, his what he saw on
Yeah,
paper. But it turned out to be something different in my mind, different than he intended. Whether that's for good, for better, or worse. If we're looking at the culture, yes, aesthetically I
yeah,
understand, but plot wise, in terms of Star Wars, he fit the role and did what he had to do. So he fits in the universe. Whereas I would argue a lot of sequel characters, the ones that Disney put in, don't fit at all. Like I don't really understand why
yeah.
some characters even exist. Versus Jar Jar, he has a purpose. That's my
Yeah,
point.
he did serve a I can agree with that. Like sometimes I can get really lost in the sequel movies. They're visually stunning. Like, oh my god, they're beautiful.
Some of the
If
best,
you
yeah.
watch it on mute, it's great. But yeah, no, like plot wise and character wise, it's like, what are we doing here?
There's throwaways.
Don't.
There's throwaways. Like
There's
Rose
so
was a throwaway. Even the main characters, some of them I thought, like even Finn didn't get his or Phasma. They didn't really get
such a shame,
payoff.
and they could have been such cool characters. I mean, we're not here to gripe about the sequel
Right, right.
movies. It's
But
really
it's,
easy
it's
to
just
get stuck in the pit hole.
but in the larger conversation to show that Jar Jar, the reactions to him, I think were maybe fairly maligned, but I think people, like you said, there's extremes. I think people need to just kind of take it for what it is and be like, you know what, maybe they didn't accomplish what they were doing aesthetically, but at the end of the day, this is what it is. It's here, and they can dislike the prequels for that reason. That's fine. Everyone is allowed to their
Yeah, no,
views, but
everyone has their. I mean, it's hard to have a Star Wars podcast and not respect that people have a right to their opinions.
if you're in a bad mood and you watch it, say as an adult, though, I can see how it can be grating. I'm like, I'm not in the mood for this. It's too early to hear this, but
Yeah, right.
I notice autistic people though, especially like Jar Jar. Like I've known some, and they're like, "Wow, he's so funny," or "He's so," like they connect him because they see the autism in him. Really, they're like, "Wow,
Yeah,
he's like me," So I kind of like that innocence to it because he doesn't know he's autistic really, and he's like, "What's the world's galaxy's a dangerous place," and he's just trying to eat and enjoy his good time, lay some queens, and here he is. Facing down Sith, in the Senate.
just caught that you said that. Um, yeah, no, it is interesting because I guess I like that like it, and it's frustrating because like it's hard to see that they do like have him have moments of like intelligence. Like he's like one, it's like a dialect of the Gungans, like the way that he speaks. But like he is like his Senate representation for the Gungans. Like he
For
does
Naboo.
have like kind of a sense of strategy sometimes. Like Padme asks him things.
Or
And like
tact
I
in emotional situations. It's like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or well, he bridges the
And
Gungans. He brings the Naboo, the feed people
yeah.
above ground and below ground. He brings them together. Fights the Trade Federation. He's the key, and he gets promoted to general. All that stuff. Redeems himself in the eyes of the Gungans. He is a representative of Naboo because he bridged those long-standing tribal haters together and unified the planet.
Yeah. I mean, which is of course is the argument that we can make as like deep lore fans. But that is not the fate that was had by Ahmed Best, which is unfortunate. Um, Of course, it's very well known, his like major mental health struggles after the release of the prequel movies, which is incredibly sad. Incredibly sad. Like, he was a huge Star Wars fan, was like obviously living like every kid's dream at that point in time of like, oh my god, I'm gonna be in a Star Wars movie. This is the absolute best. And then obviously just bearing the brunt of a lot of fan hate. And it's well known that like he became very depressed. He became suicidal during
Suicidal,
this
yeah.
time. I mean, completely derailed his acting career for quite a long time. I
He
would
said,
have to.
I think, yeah, at one point he's like, I went from Ahmed best to Ahmed worst. And I'm not just punning that. Like, he was like, I'm in a bad state. Yeah, his acting career suffered because you know why? They were over marketed. Like, at the time, he was in all the comics, all the toys. Like, this is it. This is the it factor, you know? And
Yeah,
for expectations to be thwarted by reality, you know, it was traumatic for him. You know, he went from a position of expecting mass love to receiving mass hate, like kill yourself sort of thing. And he's like, maybe I should. You know, that's where the darkness took over.
yeah, yeah. No, because it was also such a like unexpected reaction compared to what the original like movies got. Like, obviously, like Mark Hamill and like the whole cast became like household names like overnight. Like, practically. So you think like, oh my god, we're coming into it all this time later, like the fans are going to be so excited, and then just to get the complete opposite. How jarring. That jarring. Wow. See,
Jar Jarring.
I can make puns too, James.
You
Um
can. You certainly can.
Shut up. Yeah, no, like to go like from being on top of the world to being what was our, I could imagine like the worst low point of your life. What a like emotional yo-yo.
I actually see a lot of parallels between like Ahmed Best and Jar Jar and like Kanye West, Best and West, I guess. I just see like you're beloved, you're hated, you're beloved, you're hated. And it's not like Madonna or something where it's like you never really lose the people's love, but like Kanye really lost the people's love. Now he's making a comeback. Some people still hate him, and now you see that redemption arc sort of with Jar Jar and Ahmed Best because, as everyone knows, Ahmed Best went on to do Keller and Bach, saved Grogu during Order 66, went on, did not die, went on to live throughout the Mandalorian era. I think he's in season 3. He appears in the Jedi Knights comics, which are prequel era, and then his character he's basically just a like a human Jedi. It's not Jar Jar. So Ahmed Best plays two characters now, really, which is very rare in the Star Wars universe. You had like Warwick Davis, Wicket, Kenny Baker, Frank Oz, but it's rare that I guess he gets to do that one in CGI and makeup,
Right?
one in
I
himself.
love that. Like, of course, like they already like had the character a little bit in the Jedi Temple Run um like game show, but then to bring him back the way that they did, like at like the height of Mandalorian, like
You're
just
back in this,
like
bud.
fandom, and then he saves Grogu and arguably like one of the like newest, like most like beloved character in Star Wars, because everyone thinks Baby Yoda's fucking adorable. And then he saved him in Order
I
66. I can't imagine there was anyone who was like, "Oh my god."
It's so critical, and I like that Dave Filoni did that because in a way they're like, we're advancing the plot, it's fan service, but we're also saving his life here. We're saying, look, you're doing something critical here, something important for the story, and we're bringing your career back. We're saying, you are a human being, you're flesh and blood, you don't deserve this hate, you have talent, you belong in this. If I were his therapist too, I would be like, look, you were in Star Wars, bro. How many people could say it? You played two characters. Let the haters hate, and if they hate, what is it? Watch the money pile up. Fitty. It's
Right?
basically that. It's like, look, and I see that confidence in him. I see him exuding confidence. He's happy again. He's very much
He's at the conventions doing his thing. Like,
he's embracing it again. And now it's kind of like Lucas and Jar Jar are looked back on more kindly because some people who just hate the Disney universe are like, we'll take anything for those prequels again. Give us Jar Jar. Give us Jar Jar.
right?
But even still, universally, I think some people just hate everything post Return of the Jedi. Whatever, boomers will never change. But like
Maybe. To
from
each his own. There's a big
that's fine.
universe. Anyone
It's
can
like
like and hate
whatever.
whatever they want.
Exactly. Like I hate certain things in certain comics of Star Wars that are like this is weak. Others I love. But ultimately, like he co-wrote the new Jar Jar one shot comic by Marvel, which came out about a month or two ago, and it's really interesting because it shows you another side of Jar Jar, how he's conferring with Palpatine, and he's a bit more aware of the Sith plot. He doesn't quite know what the Sith are, but he's like, something is off here, and he's kind of warning the Jedi to a degree, even though it obviously falls on deaf ears, and there's the pride and whatnot of Mace and all them, and refusal to believe that the Sith are still around, that the Jedi powers can be clouded. But ultimately, yeah, I like that installment exists, and I like that they're considering bring him on not just as acting talent but writing talent too. So that's kudos to the team, Disney, Dave Filoni, all of them, for reviving Ahmed Best in a way. And I just wish they could do the same with Ray Park. He's spiraling. I don't know what Jake Lloyd's future ultimately became, but I like to see that at least Ahmed has been redeemed, and that's the story of Star Wars redemption. From the pit,
Right,
from falling off the abyss, looks back at you.
very beautifully said. Unfortunately, the same can not be said for the end of Jar Jar himself. Because of course, after he played such like a prominent role and essentially like the onset of the Empire, society, the Galactic Society as a whole, never forgave him for that. He was just seen as a tool that brought about like Chancellor Palpatine becoming Emperor Palpatine, and of course like all the subsequent terrible things that happened as per the Empire. And so the last we really see of Jar Jar, it's kind of very footnote-esque. In the Aftermath novels, which is set like kind of after like Return of the Jedi. There's a bunch of like kind of like catching up, like where are they now, and like some plot points are like really progressing forward in canon, and there's just kind of one little chapter about Jar Jar where he is I believe on the planet of Thebe, and he is working as a street performer,
A jester, a clown. Yeah.
yeah, like he's just like a street clown. And he performs for the children, does funny noises and like spits water and flaps his
The
ears.
only people who will listen to him because they don't have cognizance of the greater galactic events.
Yeah, no, like the parents of these children won't talk to him. Like nobody talks to him. Like they're kind of like ashamed of him. They stay
He's a
clear of him.
pariah.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a social pariah. Only children talk to him. Uh, the only and the someone comes to sit with him. It's a small deformed orphan boy. Comes and sits with him and is talking with him. And he says like, oh well, nobody wants me because like I'm deformed. I believe it was like his skin was burned very badly. He's like, oh, nobody's gonna want me. Nobody's going to like want to adopt me because like I'm so hideous and deformed. And Jar Jar, it's kind of like, well, nobody wants me either. Like nobody wants to like be around me. And he's like, but I can teach you to be a clown. And I guess they kind of like, that's kind of how it ends. Like these two kind of social pariahs like find this friendship with each other. And I think that's the last we're gonna hear of Jar Jar. And that is in true Star Wars fashion.
Is that canon
Very
or
sad.
Legends? Is that
Pretty sure that's canon.
that's canon, right? Well, because at least they can do more with him though, because CGI can advance it. But I know in 2005 when George did the special editions, the Return of the Jedi, at the very end they're showing all the planets liberated, and on Naboo you hear "We so free," and it's heavily implied, I think confirmed, that it is Jar Jar's voice. So he's just showing you he survived the series. You hated him. Guess what? He didn't die, everyone. He gets to enjoy the galactic freedom just like everybody else does. Jar Jar is the key to all this. He died on that sword, George Lucas. And in a
Right.
way, you could argue that's why he signed it over to Disney. Maybe he lost his respect, lost his whatever. Maybe Jar Jar was the key to this and had a big deal with the sale to Disney. So that you got to look at it in the big scheme of things. But as with everything, every character has their place in it. It's all to overthrow the Sith, right, and liberate everyone from their dastardly plan. So it's interesting
Right.
how one event can domino into a greater story.
Right. Please see our Substack for our thoughts on Darth Jar Jar, which is more than we have time for today. That is a whole different theory that we will get into more in bonus material.
Do watch the Robot Chickens too, where you go Sith and all that stuff. Very much on the nose. There's one scene too where he comes back and sees Anakin when he's in Darth Vader's helmet. Kristine watched that afterwards, and and Ahmed Best voiced it too. So in a way, Robot Chicken in the 2000s said, "Hey, we want you, buddy. Come on and be part of this fandom." So he did contribute to the really expanded universe in that regard.
That's the best when people are like, I want to voice my own spoof because why wouldn't I? That's how I feel about like if I was ever famous enough to get made fun of on South Park.
Yeah, that's a good
South
thing.
Park better fucking call me because I want to voice my character.
It's a,
Don't even care what they write. They can drag me.
It's an honor when South Park satirizes you. You've made it, whether it's good or bad. I'm just like, I would be honored. Like if I were, I don't know who got.
I would be absolutely
Mel
honored.
Gibson.
That is a beautiful millennial level honor of epic proportions. It's up there with a goddamn Oscar. There is a whole South Park episode about you.
You're immortalized, yeah. But and Ahmed Best in a way is immortalized too. I think because this isn't only Jar Jar, it is also Ahmed Best's story. They are kind of meta and Inception. They do carry over, and the mental health. That's why we're here, right? And you have to look at, okay, Jar Jar. Clearly, he was mental to some degree, but maybe he was just born with that. But Ahmed, it was inflicted upon him, and he had to deal with not just fame but notoriety, undue notoriety, and had to deal with that on a day-to-day level, death threats, stuff like that. Just be like, hey, you're just trying to walk into your apartment, go home, and people throw garbage at you. Like it's a bit much. And how do you internalize that and stay strong and keep going? I like his arc. I like that he found strength. He found the mental health assistance that he needed through therapy, through community, through art. Really, art does save, and I like that the art creators gave the artists a venue to have that reconciliation, to have that redemption, but that healing. They gave him an opportunity for recovering because the art ruined him. The art also saved him. So I like that in many ways. It's they're parallels. They echo.
Yeah.
There's it's a bad thing followed by a good thing that couldn't have happened without that bad thing. So I like to think that he sees his mind had to go through the dark times to come out even better than I was before. And it seems like that's the attitude he has these days. I don't know what's going on in his head, but from a mental health perspective, I think art saved him. And to others who are struggling too, I truly believe artistry, movies, TV, film, books, especially, I work in books, they save. There is a therapeutic element to them when you truly engage and find meaning in them, find a greater story than just yourself.
I think even the artistic medium of podcasting can also be added to that list.
That's us.
That's us. Yeah, no, I'm
definitely
stop that. Like, I am definitely of the camp that artistic outlets are immensely healing and expressions of ourselves and can just, can brighten any day. And, I'm also very happy that Ahmed Best has been able to find that level of peace and healing and, seems to be in a much better place. I'm sure sometimes it's a day-to-day thing, but I hope he has more good days than bad.
Yeah, amen. God bless him. Really, I would love to meet him one day. So hopefully at a conference or convention,
we
can,
will.
rub
We're
shoulders.
gonna manifest it right now. We're gonna have brunch
Jaja,
on Ahmed
come to
Best,
me.
and then we're gonna go have drinks with Sam Witwer, and then we're gonna have a lovely
Wow.
dinner with Dave Filoni, and then after party with George.
And maybe smell Natalie Portman's hair. Is that
Oh,
too much?
stop.
Too big of an ask? She's married.
That's gonna be the other socials clip, you big creep.
Right. That's only stands. Yeah, that's our only
That's
stands account.
Get out of here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. I think that Jar Jar is his legacy is complex, but I think that as you mentioned, his role in Star Wars is infallible. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it on up for the night. Please hit us up. I mean, this is a controversial topic. Hit us with your big Star Wars Jar Jar thoughts, feels, smoke. I know y'all got smoke on Jar Jar. Shoot us an email at mindtheforcepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to know what you think. What do you think about Jar Jar? How do you feel about Ahmed Best? past, present, future. Where can they go with Keller and Beck? To the stars, I imagine. Shoot us 5 stars on your favorite podcast streaming platform so the internet knows that we're cool. Like, follow, subscribe, all of that jazz. Hit us up on socials. And until next time, this is Mind the Force. Stay mindful.
Stay mindful.